Welcome to Reiki Rising, your guide to all things Reiki and igniting your spiritual path. Join us every week as we delve into the transformative world of Reiki, sharing insights on how to navigate this earthly journey while elevating the vibration of the collective. Be prepared for deep discussions, enlightening interviews, and maybe even a glimpse or two into our live Instagram Reiki shares and conversations. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or new to the energy healing realm, this podcast is your sanctuary for growth, healing, and connection. Thank you for joining us on this transformative journey with Reiki Rising. Ready to take your spiritual expansion to the next level? Join us on the Reiki Rising Collective and unlock a world of connection and growth. Subscribe through our Patreon, link in the description of this podcast episode, and gain access to exclusive weekly live distance Reiki shares and enriching discussions. As a member, you'll also receive one-on-one coaching sessions, discounts on workshops, and so much more. Follow me, your guide in all things Reiki, on Instagram at Raven Waterblossom, and take the next step on your journey. Join us in the Reiki Rising Collective. We can't wait to meet you. Hello friends, and welcome back to Reiki Rising, your source for all things Reiki and holistic healing. I am your host Raven and a fellow Reiki practitioner. Today we are diving into the exciting topic of how to incorporate the magical properties of herbs into your Reiki practice. Whether you are new to working with herbs or looking to deepen your existing practice, this episode is for you. Before we get into the specifics, let's talk a bit about why herbs and Reiki go so well together. Herbs have been used for centuries in so many cultures for their healing properties, both physical and metaphysical. Reiki, as we know, is a powerful energy healing modality, and it helps us to balance and harmonize the body, mind, and spirit. So when we combine the two, we create the synergy that can enhance our healing work in amazing ways. The first step is setting an intention. In incorporating herbs into your Reiki practice, setting a clear intention is everything in both Reiki and magic. Decide what it is that you want to achieve with this session. Are you seeking to cleanse negative energy, to protect yourself or your client, to enhance love and compassion, or maybe to attract abundance? Once that intention is set, you can choose the appropriate herbs to support whatever that goal is. And then we come to selecting the herbs. Let's go over some of the common herbs and their magical properties so that you can learn how to incorporate these into your Reiki practice. Most of us are well aware of what some of these are and what their properties are, but these are just a few basic herbs that are very commonly used in Reiki and in magic. In setting the space for a Reiki session, sage is very common, whether you use desert sage or blue sage or white sage or garden sage. It is not necessarily that important. What is important is that we are setting an intention with these herbs and with the properties. So the cleansing and purification properties of whatever sage you use is what is most crucial here. So it's excellent for clearing negative energy from your space and from your aura and that of your client. If we are seeing a client or wanting to integrate something that promotes relaxation and peace, lavender is a great option. This is great for reducing stress and anxiety. It's commonly used in anti-anxiety, oil blends, candles, bath products. You can think of all the ways we've seen lavender used, and usually it's for sleep or rest or relaxation. So it has a really strong anti-anxiety and anti-stress property to it. Rosemary is often used for protection and purification. It enhances our memory and our ability to concentrate. So this can be really useful in a session where maybe you have a client who has a challenging time concentrating, or they seem to feel restless. This can be really helpful as well. Chamomile is another great herb that promotes relaxation and tranquility. It's great for emotional healing and helping with sleep or rest. So if we have a client who is maybe having some trouble sleeping at night, maybe they're not getting enough rest, inviting this herb into the practice is a great option. Rose is very commonly associated with love and compassion, and we use this to open the heart chakra and to enhance feelings of love and connection and joy. So any of these herbs, along with many, many others, are great ways to enhance a Reiki session, either for yourself or for others, and a way that we can bring magic into this practice even more. Once you've selected the herbs, it's really important to prepare them properly. So you can use fresh or dried herbs depending on availability and whatever you prefer. There are a few ways to prepare them specifically for a Reiki practice. As I mentioned, sage and rosemary being very great herbs for us to use to cleanse our space before starting a Reiki session and to purify the environment. This is something that is very commonly practiced. If you are a Reiki practitioner or you do any type of ceremonial work, often there is a burning of herbs. You can use whatever herbs you like. I tend to use mugwort, rosemary, garden sage, herbs that I have grown and found in my garden, as well as Palo Santo, which I don't grow, but I do get from a sustainable source. These are all things that we can use. Always just use whatever your intuition is guiding you towards. That is also key. Herbal infusions are another way to incorporate herbs into the Reiki practice. If you have the ability to create an herbal tea either beforehand or to make one on site to offer to a client or for yourself to drink before your session, you can begin to internalize their properties, and you can also take the benefits of some of these as well, as far as the relaxation, maybe some lemon balm or chamomile, lavender. Always double check with clients if there are any contraindications before offering herbs, and tend to lean towards, at least for consumption purposes, tend to lean towards ones that have little to no contraindications and the client is not allergic to or sensitive to the scents or to the properties of these herbs. Another way to incorporate them are herbal sachets. These are little bags that are filled with your herbs. Maybe you want to place a crystal in it. Maybe you want to give it to your client as a gift to take home. You can place it under the pillow or under the bed itself, the treatment table itself, or maybe the client would like to hold on to it. That's a great way to incorporate herbs as well. My personal favorite is using infused oils. I love using essential oils, adding herbs to oils. These are used to bring an aromatherapy aspect to the session. We are still embodying the properties of these herbs, but more of an aromatherapy. So this is where it is more important for it to be not necessarily something that a client has a sensitivity to as far as scent or an irritation to it if you're placing any of these oils on the skin. But I tend to just place them on my hands, rub my hands together, and waft the scent around the client so that they can take in a more gentle integration of those properties. During Reiki sessions, there are several ways that we can integrate herbs. During aura cleansing, using smudge to cleanse the client's aura before the session, and also at the end to clear energies away that may still be lingering. Creating crystal and herb grids. Placing herbs and crystals around the space or directly on your client does enhance the energy flow and aligns with the healing intention. So whatever intention your client is setting for their session, see if you can incorporate some of those herbs that may be useful in that as well. And you can have them hold them, you can place them on them. Sometimes I will use different crystals in combination with this, either under the table, or sometimes I will place certain stones on a client with permission, of course. Herbal tinctures, if you're comfortable with herbal tinctures and creating tinctures from your herbs and using a few drops on your palms or on the client's chakras during the sessions, herbal tinctures, depending on the herbs, can also be consumed. So just always have an open conversation with your client. If they don't want to disclose their health history, that's definitely not necessary. We can lean more towards ones that are not being consumed or placed on the skin. The safest way and best way to incorporate herbs, if you are unsure or if you don't have a relationship built with a client yet that you feel open to asking these questions, is to bring the Reiki session into a guided visualization of the healing properties of herbs and how they'll work to aid in their session and how they will work in their body to assist with the energy healing session. For instance, they can imagine the calming effects of lavender soothing their mind, or maybe the protective energy of rosemary surrounding them. If you tune in today, here in about 10 minutes, I'll be going live to share a meditation for incorporating the properties of these herbs in a visualization. So tune in to that on YouTube. I will be sharing it here as well on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Follow the next episode after this and you'll be able to hear all of the beautiful ways that we can incorporate these herbs through visualization. So I would like to share just a little story about how I use herbs into this Reiki practice. It's always been something that has been really something I'm passionate about. I love herbalism. That's really what got me started into these practices, was taking an herbalism course and really learning about all the properties of the herbs and beginning to use them for myself. I've talked about this in previous podcasts, not necessarily on Reiki Rising, but on the Dark Muse podcast that I had prior to this. And using herbs really healed energetically a lot of grief for me. It helped aid me in healing the grief that I was carrying around for my life and moved through a pretty serious chronic lung bronchitis issue. So that is something that really sparked all of this, and then I just kept going and going and going. I love learning about new modalities, and that is what led me to Reiki and the way that these two come together synergistically. It's just amazing, and I love seeing how much of a difference herbs can make in a session. Just using the aromatherapy aspect of this, utilizing that in sessions, both in private sessions and in group sessions, it really deepens the practice for people. And I love bringing in the earth elements, nature into these sessions. It's just magical. I love it so much. I love spending time in the garden and grabbing all of these herbs and making little concoctions for each of these sessions. It's really just so fun and brings another layer of magic into everything. So I have some tips for beginners. If you're new to using herbs in your Reiki practice, there are a few tips to get you started. Always with anything, start simple. Begin with 1 or 2 herbs that you feel really drawn to and really learn about their properties. Take time to read about different herbs and their uses in both healing and in magic. And experiment with different methods of incorporating herbs into your practice and how they affect your energy work. Take time to observe how they are working for clients, how are they working for you, what differences you notice, and most of all, trust your intuition. When selecting and using herbs, your inner guidance will often lead you to what you need. I can't tell you how many times I'm just walking around and all of a sudden I'm like, I think that I really need some lemon balm. And sometimes I don't even know why until I start making my tea or I start using essential oils and I'm like, oh, this is so good. This has alleviated this issue. I, feel less anxious. I feel more calm. My body was definitely telling me that I needed this, and I'm so glad I listened. So definitely trust your intuition. And I cannot reiterate enough that it is so important that while using herbs, although they are natural, they should definitely be used with respect and care. Ensure that you're knowledgeable about any of the potential allergies or contraindications that your client might have. And always, always, always ask for permission before using any herbs directly on a client, especially if you're using oils or tinctures. So important. You never know, and we just want to make sure that we're being sensitive to anything that may come up. I think that is it. I hope that you found this episode inspiring and informative, and incorporating the magical properties of herbs into your Reiki practice truly can elevate these healing sessions and bring an added layer of depth and intention. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider supporting us on Patreon. I'll be diving deeper into these topics with weekly guided meditations, content, and you get to join this amazing community of like-minded healers. You can find the link in the description. Thank you for tuning into Reiki Rising. Remember to subscribe, to like, to share, to rate this podcast, and spread the healing energy. Until next time, may your practice be filled with light and the magical essence of nature. May you be aligned with your favorite version of you. Thanks for being here, friends. I'll see you next week.